All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going deep into the world of elite matchmaking,
Ooh, exciting.
specifically here in Chicago.
Right.
So we've got some marketing materials from a company called Elite Connections International.
Interesting.
And our mission, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is to figure out, is this a relic of the past, or is this actually like a legitimate alternative to dating
Oh,
apps?
I like that. Yeah, like in a world of Tinder and Bumble and all that, where does this fit in?
Exactly, yeah.
And, think about it. It's interesting how much the dating landscape has actually, like, changed.
Totally.
I mean, we've gone from, your Aunt Mildred setting you up with someone
Right.
to having, thousands of potential dates just like right there on your phone.
And that comes with its own set of problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, have you ever heard of the paradox of choice?
Oh, yeah.
Like, sometimes it feels like the more options you have, the harder it is to actually, like, connect with someone.
It's too much. You're just like overwhelmed.
Yeah. Totally. You just get decision fatigue.
Yeah. And I think that's what Elite Connections is kind of trying to tap into, right?
Okay.
They're presenting themselves as, a more curated experience where you're not doing all the work someone else is, like sifting through all the potential matches, finding people who like align with your values and goals and all
So
that.
more about quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of, like, endlessly swiping.
Right. You're getting a smaller selection, but hopefully like way more compatible.
Okay, so that makes sense. But how personalized can it actually be?
Well, that's a good question. From what I'm seeing in their materials, it seems like they go beyond the basic stuff you see on dating apps.
Okay.
Like, instead of just, do you like pizza?
Right.
Or what are your hobbies? They're really trying to dig deeper, figure out your lifestyle preferences, long-term goals, even like communication styles.
So it's not just about finding someone who also likes to hike and watch, Netflix.
Right. They're trying to match personalities and values.
Which is a lot more complex.
Way more complex.
Okay, so let's say I'm intrigued, right?
Yeah.
I want to try this Elite Connections thing out.
All right. I'm listening.
What's the first step? Do they just, like, send me on a blind date with someone?
That would be interesting.
Right.
But no, it's much more involved.
Okay.
So the first step is they do a very, very in-depth consultation.
Okay.
This isn't like a quick online profile. This is like they want to sit down with you, get to know you, your background, experiences, hopes, dreams, all of it.
So it's like relationship therapy before you even start dating.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
That's intense.
But they're really trying to understand who you are as a person
Mm-hmm.
and what you're actually looking for in a partner.
Okay, so they're building this, like, super detailed profile of me.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the other side of it?
Right, good point.
How do they find potential matches for me?
So it seems like they have this large network of clients already. And they also do active recruiting, so they're not just relying on people signing up. They're out there, like, searching.
So they're like headhunters, but for love.
Basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it seems like they're very invested in finding the right people, not just anyone.
That's interesting.
It's all about creating those perfect matches based on, deep understanding and stuff.
Okay, so they've gotten to know me inside and out. They've found some potential matches. What happens next? Do they just, like, throw us into a dinner date and hope for the best?
Oh, gosh, no. That would be a disaster waiting to happen. They're much more thoughtful than that.
Okay.
They definitely arrange the introduction, but they're very deliberate about creating, like, a comfortable and natural setting.
Okay.
So it might be a casual coffee date or maybe a museum visit or something that aligns with, shared interests.
So they take that into account, the shared interests.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The idea is to make that first meeting feel, organic and enjoyable, not forced or awkward.
Right. You don't want to meet someone for the first time in this, like, super formal, high-pressure situation.
Exactly. And that's where that whole personalization thing really comes into play. They're
Mhm.
not just setting up, like, generic dates. They're trying to create this unique experience.
So each date is kind of tailored to the people involved.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say the first date goes well.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Is that it? Does Elite Connections, like, step back and say, all right, you're on your own now? Or is there, like, more to it?
Oh, there's definitely more to it.
Okay.
Ongoing support, that's a big part of their service.
Yeah, so-
They don't just set up the date and disappear. They follow up with both people, get feedback, offer advice, help navigate any challenges that come up.
So it's like having a dating coach in your corner.
Yeah, kind of like that. And that's pretty unique. You don't really get that with dating apps, right?
Right, you're kind of on your own with those.
Exactly. And that's one of the big things that sets Elite Connections apart. They're not just matchmakers.
Yeah.
They're like relationship consultants providing that ongoing guidance.
It's like they handle all the details so you can just focus on, like, building a connection.
Exactly.
But all this hand-holding must come at a price, right?
You are absolutely right about that. This level of service doesn't come cheap.
Right.
Their fees are definitely on the higher end.
Compared to dating apps, you mean?
Oh, yeah. And even compared to other matchmaking services, it's an investment.
Which makes sense, I guess. You're paying for expertise
Yeah.
and exclusivity.
Right. And that personalized attention is like the concierge service of dating.
I like that, the concierge service of dating.
Yeah. And their marketing definitely plays up that exclusivity factor.
How so?
They talk about their vetting process, how rigorous it is, their high success rate, and also their clientele,
Oh, interesting.
which, often includes successful professionals, people who value discretion.
So it's not just about finding love, it's about finding love within a certain, like, social circle.
Yeah, you could say that
I can see how that would appeal to some people.
definitely. And for those who, have the means, the cost might not even be a factor.
Right. They're essentially investing in finding a really compatible partner.
And for some people, that's worth every penny.
But let's be real, even with all this expertise, all this personalization, there's no guarantee, right?
Oh, absolutely not. You can't force chemistry.
Right. Like, you can have two people who look perfect on paper,
Yeah.
but in person, it's just
It's a flop.
total flop.
And that's the wild card with any kind of dating, no matter how fancy the approach is.
So even with elite connections, you're still taking a leap of faith.
Oh, for sure.
It's just you're doing it with a bit more guidance.
Yeah, a more curated selection.
Okay, so that's a good point.
And it's important to remember that matchmaking, even at this, elite level, is still a human thing.
Right.
It's not a perfect science.
There's intuition involved.
Yes. There's subjectivity. There's
Ah.
always a chance things won't work out.
So it's not a magic bullet, but it's a different approach.
Definitely.
And it might appeal to people who are, tired of the regular dating scene.
Yeah, they're looking for something more personalized.
Exactly.
And, for those who value privacy and discretion,
Mhm.
a service like this might be really appealing,
Yeah, I can see that.
but it's definitely not for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about the process, the personalization, the cost, the risks. But I'm curious, what does this whole trend towards elite matchmaking tell us about, like, the bigger picture? Why are people turning to these services?
That's a great question.
What's going on?
I think it reflects a broader shift in how we view relationships
Mhm.
and the whole search for love in this digital age.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this shift.
Well, on one hand, we have this hyper-individualistic culture fueled by dating apps where it's all about choice, autonomy, efficiency.
Yeah, check out.
But on the other hand, there's this growing desire for deeper connection,
Mm-hmm.
authenticity, something more meaningful than just swiping in superficial chats.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a pendulum swing.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
went from arranged marriages to online dating, and now we're seeing this resurgence of matchmaking,
Yeah.
but with a modern twist.
I like that, a modern twist.
And I think Elite Connections is definitely capitalizing on this trend.
Okay.
They're offering the service that blends the personal touch of traditional matchmaking with, the efficiency of technology.
It's fascinating how these trends play out.
It really is.
So in a world where we can connect with anyone, anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
why are some people choosing to, narrow their options and rely on a matchmaker?
I think there are a few reasons for that.
Okay,
For some people, it's about time,
in time.
Yeah, they're busy professionals. They don't have the time or energy to be sifting through endless profiles.
Right, they don't want to be on dating apps all day.
Exactly. So it's like outsourcing your love life.
To a professional.
Yeah. And for others, it's about quality over quantity. They're just tired of superficial connections,
Mm-hmm.
and they're willing to pay for a more curated experience.
And let's not forget about the privacy aspect.
Oh, right. Good point.
For some people, especially those in the public eye, putting themselves out there on a dating app can feel really exposing.
For sure. It's not for everyone.
And Elite Connections really emphasizes discretion, confidentiality,
Mm.
which is a big draw for some clients.
It's a level of privacy you just don't get with dating apps.
So it's not just about finding a date, it's about finding a date in a way that feels safe and comfortable and
Ex-
aligns with their
Yeah,
values.
and then there's the emotional aspect, too.
Oh, right.
For some people, navigating the dating world can be really overwhelming.
Especially if you've been doing it for a while without much success.
Exactly. It can be disheartening.
Yeah.
So for those people, having a matchmaker can provide a sense of, like, support and encouragement.
It's like having a cheerleader in your corner.
Yeah. Someone who believes in you.
Someone who's invested in your happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly valuable, especially in the world of dating.
It's like this deep dive has taken us beyond just like the mechanics of matchmaking and into like the heart of what people are actually looking for when they're searching for love.
You got it. It's about connection. It's about authenticity. It's about feeling seen and understood.
And maybe, just maybe, for some people, a service like Elite Connections offers a path to finding that.
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility, especially for those who are like disillusioned with the traditional dating scene.
They're looking for a more personalized approach.
Exactly.
Well, this has been really insightful.
I'm glad you think so.
But for those who are listening, what are some key takeaways?
That's a good question.
Like, what should they be thinking about?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to dating.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
So it's not about judging different approaches. It's about understanding what each one offers
Mhm.
and then deciding what aligns best with your own needs and values.
Absolutely. Whether you're a fan of dating apps, intrigued by matchmaking, or prefer to meet people organically, the most important thing is to be intentional about your search for love.
So be thoughtful about it.
Yeah, know what you're looking for, be open to different possibilities. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. And remember, the journey to finding love, it's just that. It's a journey.
I like that.
It's about exploration, self-discovery, embracing the unexpected.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive.
I agree. It's been fun.
So what's the final takeaway for our listener as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive?
Let me think. Well, I think the biggest takeaway from our deep dive into Elite Connections is that the search for love is evolving, just like everything else. It's not just about choosing between a dating app or a matchmaker. It's about understanding that we have more options than ever before, and it's about finding what resonates with us on a personal level.
You've put it perfectly, and I think this exploration of Elite Connections has really highlighted the fact that there are people out there who are seeking a different approach to dating, one that's more curated, more personalized, and perhaps more aligned with a desire for genuine connection.
It's like they're looking for a way to cut through the noise and the superficiality of modern dating and find something that feels more authentic and meaningful.
Exactly. And while Elite Connections might not be the right fit for everyone, it definitely speaks to this growing segment of people who are seeking a more tailored and supported dating experience. So for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive, what would you say is the most important thing to consider when navigating the world of dating today?
I think the key is to be honest with yourself about what you truly want and what you're comfortable with. There's no shame in seeking help, whether it's from a matchmaker, a therapist, or a trusted friend.
And don't be afraid to experiment. You might be surprised by what you discover about yourself and what kind of connection you're truly seeking.
Absolutely. Sometimes stepping outside of your comfort zone can lead to the most unexpected and rewarding experiences.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful exploration of elite matchmaking and the evolving landscape of love and relationships. I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and hopefully our listener feels more informed about this unique approach to finding a partner.
I agree. And I think the most important message we can leave our listener with is this. The search for love is a personal journey, and there's no right or wrong way to go about it. What matters most is that you find a path that feels authentic and fulfilling to you.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. If you could design your ideal dating experience, what would it look like? What elements from traditional approaches and modern technology would you combine to create a truly fulfilling and successful search for love?
Until next time, happy dating. It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we take the best of both worlds?
The old and the new.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
the personal touch, that human connection, but also leverage the efficiency and the reach of technology.
Yeah, it's almost like we need a hybrid approach.
Right. And maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's why we're seeing this resurgence of matchmaking.
It's like people are craving that human element again.
That guidance, that support.
But they still want the convenience of, being able to connect with people online.
Yeah. It's a tricky balance.
So for our listener, the person who's been with us on this deep dive, what would you say is like the most important thing to keep in mind as they navigate the world of dating?
Honestly, I think it's all about being honest with yourself. Like, what do you actually want? What are you comfortable with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's no shame in asking for help, whether it's from a matchmaker, a therapist, even a close friend.
Right. Like you don't have to go it alone.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to try new things, experiment a little.
Yeah, you might be surprised by what you discover.
Exactly. Stepping out of your comfort zone, that's where the magic happens.
I love that. Well, this has been a super insightful conversation about elite matchmaking.
It's been fun.
And hopefully our listener has learned a thing or two about this unique approach to finding a partner.
Yeah, and I think the most important message is that the search for love, it's a personal journey.
There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Exactly. What matters most is that you find a path that feels authentic to you.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Okay, Nick.
If you could design your ideal dating experience, what would it look like? What elements from, the traditional ways of dating and modern technology would you combine to create a truly fulfilling, successful search for love?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's something to think about. And with that, we'll wrap up another deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll see you next time.